We bring you the morning edition of MBC News with me, Hilda Ngomano. Our top stories. President Mutharika assures Malawians that his administration will not shield anyone involved in corrupt practices. Former immigration chief, retired Brigadier General Charles Kalumo, arrested at Kumalawi International Airport. And the COMESA Federation of Women in Business calls for greater economic empowerment for women. Thanks for joining us. President Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika has assured Malawians that his administration will not shield anyone involved in corruption. In a statement issued on Saturday, the president said he is closely monitoring the Public Accounts Committee's inquiry into the sale of Amaryllis Hotel and emphasized that the committee has his full support. President Mutharika has assured all Malawians of his administration's commitment to transparency, accountability and the rule of law. In this statement, President Mutharika says that the fact that the inquiry is taking place is proof of his government's resolve to let oversight institutions work without interference. He has therefore reiterated his government's firm stance in the fight against corruption, saying his administration is not in office for a feast. According to the president, the public office is a sacred trust bestowed by the people of Malawi, and any misuse of public resources or influence for personal gain is a serious betrayal of the trust. Trust Office has filed this report.
Since assuming power in September last year, President Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika has implemented key measures aimed at preventing wastefulness and abuse of public funds in his administration. Among them is the introduction of austerity measures that reduced both international and local travel for all public officers, including members of his cabinet. Professor Mutharika has also repeatedly warned that his administration will not shield anyone involved in corruption, as highlighted in the State of the Nation address last month. President Mutharika's anti-corruption message also came up last Saturday when he commended the Parliamentary Public Accounts Committee for its efforts in probing the controversial 128 billion kwacha Amaryllis Hotel deal. Professor Mutharika reaffirmed his commitment to transparency and accountability through such public inquiries. The public inquiry into the sale of Amaryllis Hotel, which started on Tuesday last week, has brought several issues to light. Among them is that the hotel was pegged at 30 billion kwacha by FDH and 36 billion kwacha by Continental Asset Managers, while Nico Asset Managers was expected to facilitate the sale of the hotel at 47 billion kwacha. The previous board of the Public Service Pension Trust Fund, however, rejected the proposal to purchase the hotel at 47 billion kwacha because the investment was considered not viable. It was reported that it would take over 40 years for the fund to recover its investment. The hotel purchase deal was later revived by a principal officer at the pension fund who, acting on instructions from former Secretary to the President and Cabinet, Colin Zamba, pushed for a hotel purchase agreement. The agreement was then adopted by only 3 members of the 10 current board members of the Public Service Pension Trust Fund at 128 billion kwacha. This development raised suspicions because the valuer who pegged the hotel at 128 billion kwacha is not a registered entity and produced the valuation report on the same day it was contracted to carry out the valuation. Chairperson of the Parliamentary Public Accounts Committee, Stephen Malondera, has expressed hope that the committee will soon establish the truth on the matter.
Major impact is to protect the future of those people who are working in government and looking forward to having a pension at a given or scheduled time. So we're just trying to ensure that the people who are working don't get to be negatively impacted due to poor investment.
The public inquiry into the sale of Amaryllis Hotel is expected to continue on Monday morning and Wednesday this week, after which the committee will compile a report for presentation in Parliament. Trust Office, MBC News, Lero.
Police at Kumalawi International Airport have arrested the former Director General of the Immigration Department, retired Brigadier General Charles Kalumo. According to Malawi Police spokesperson Lero, Kalumo was arrested at the airport upon arrival from South Africa. Chintembo says Kalumo has been arrested on allegations of abusing his office while serving as Director General of the Immigration Department. He speaks to our reporter Olive Piri.
We have arrested the former Immigration Chief Brigadier Charles Kalumolitaya on a charge of abuse of office and failure to comply with the Immigration Act. The alleged offense occurred in June 2023 while he was serving as Director General at the Department of Immigration and Citizenship Services.
When is he expected to appear in court?
He will appear in court soon. We've just arrested him this afternoon, and we are currently recording a caution statement.
The Parliamentary Committee on Health has pledged to lobby for the modernization of the Central Medical Stores Trust to establish a more resilient pharmaceutical supply chain. Committee Chairperson Anthony Masamba gave his assurance in Blantyre following the cluster's visit to assess regional medical stores operations. Charles Pensulo reports.
The Parliamentary Committee conducted the tour to, among others, strengthen oversight, improving understanding of the national medical supply chain, and supporting evidence-based advocacy for policies that enhance the availability and distribution of medicines and medical supplies in the country. During the tour, it was noted that the trust faces many challenges, ranging from old buildings to inadequate storage spaces for medical supplies. For instance, the facility in Blantyre is said to have been constructed in 1968, which is outdated and old-fashioned. This prompted Chairperson for the committee, Anthony Masamba, to call for support from development partners.
They need efforts from Ministry of Health, Ministry of Finance, including other donors which can come on board and support this institution. It is a crucial institution which is restoring medicines here, and medicines are essential for the lives of people, and that's why as a committee we are taking up this issue and will engage with relevant authorities.
In his remarks, Director of Finance and Administration for Central Medical Stores Trust, Vincent Chirinda, revealed that the trust is set to embark on the construction of the 24 billion kwacha modern medical warehouse in Lilongwe, as the trust has only secured 2 billion kwacha. He therefore called for support from the corporate world.
We are ready to start the project with 2 billion, then we'll go forward with the foundation. We have engaged several partners, including World Bank, Global Fund, so that they should help us to support or finance this. I'm glad to indicate that the Parliamentary Committee on Health has indicated to help us so that they facilitate the financing and the resource mobilization for the same.
The Central Medical Stores Trust has 3 regional medical stores warehouses based in Mzozo, Lilongwe and Blantyre. The Blantyre warehouse saves a significant portion of Malawi's health system and supplies medical equipment to 13 out of the 29 district health offices and 3 out of 5 central hospitals in the country. Charles Pensulo, MBC News, Blantyre.
Reverend John Chelembwe Hospital in Palombe has appealed for increased funding and additional staff to improve service delivery. The appeal was made by hospital's acting director of Health and Social Services, Dr. Sam Siwake, during a familiarization tour and engagement session with health workers conducted by Palombe District Commissioner Yobu Makina Gama. Our reporter Tumbiko Nyirongo has filed this report, read by Simeon Boyce.
District Commissioner for Palombe, Yobu Makina Gama, conducted a familiarization tour at Reverend John Chelembwe Hospital in the district to appreciate successes and challenges. During the tour, it was observed that the 250-bed state-of-the-art facility, which was commissioned in 2022, has the capacity to be among the best hospitals in the country if well managed. The hospital's acting director of Health and Social Services, Dr. Sam Siwake, says funding is the biggest setback that has affected operations of the hospital.
2 was issues to do with inadequate funding. We highlighted that as we opened this hospital, we were operating at a very low budget because we didn't have the hospital by then in 2022. But after we opened the hospital, the budget didn't really quite change. It was the same budget that was there before the hospital and it was there after we opened the hospital. So this is a big hospital, very big space. It's modern, with modern equipment, and the requirements are very high. For example, only electricity here we pay around 12 million. So a few things, because of that we find that we are constrained in terms of expenditures, fuel, we need cleaning materials, we need stationery, but the budget that we had is not adequate to run this kind of a hospital.
In his remarks, the District Commissioner, Yobu Makinagama, expressed satisfaction with the quality of services at the hospital and urged health workers to maintain high professional standards in their work. On funding, he said he will lobby with government.
It's a national problem. It's not only Palombe, it's all over. But as a council, we'll sit down and map out the way forward so that this problem should not continue. And I'm sure even government is very serious to make sure that hospitals in Malawi have enough funding to assist in the procurement of medicine, in the running of hospitals in terms of electricity and all the required necessities.
Reverend Chilembwe Hospital also features a paid section to help support operational costs and serves as the major referral center for the district, surrounding areas, and even neighboring Mozambique. The facility serves a population approximately over 500,000.
The Scottish Government has committed additional financial resources to the Climate Just Communities project, which helps vulnerable communities withstand the adverse effects of climate change. Project Director for CJC Malawi, Annie Brady, disclosed this in Zomba during the closing ceremony for the project. Charleston Dongo has a report read by Romeo Umali.
Brady told journalists in Zomba that the Scottish authorities, who are founders of the CJC project in all the 7 districts, have expressed satisfaction with the project, hence the approval of additional funding. Active since 2023, the project will conclude this year and operates in 7 districts, including Palombe, Majinga, Karonga, Chikwawa, Neno, and Salima. It mainly focuses on building resilience to climate change impacts through participatory and inclusive interventions, among others.
So the Scottish Government is going to fund a bridging year, which will start in April 2026. We're waiting to see who will be awarded the contract to deliver that. So they will do 1 more year programming, and then they are planning to do a longer year programme. But I do not work for the Scottish Government. I am an implementer working for DAI, but we think the signs are very promising, and DAI is really committing to continue to work in Malawi where we can.
Environmental Affairs Department Deputy Director Michael Magonambera hailed the project for its transformative impact.
Not necessarily learning, but a message. Okay. What we have seen here, I've already derived a message which I delivered. People who are coming to the communities, they should come with a full package. That's what we have seen here. Our communities are vulnerable, they are poor, they are faced with so many hazards and risks. So when somebody is coming to help them, let's bring complete package, not just meals. That meals will not help them. So bring the goats, bring the beekeeping, bring whatever, everything as one complete package, so that by the time you are getting out of that community, they are fully empowered and they can be sustained.
Available information indicates that close to 100,000 people have benefited from the initiative across the 7 districts. Initially, the Scottish Government funded the project with £8 million, approximately 16 billion waja.
You are watching MBC News with me, Hilda Ngomano. A reminder of our top stories. President Mutharika assures Malawians that his administration will not shield anyone involved in corrupt practices. Former Immigration Chief, retired Brigadier General Charles Kalumo, arrested at Kamuzu International Airport. And the COMESA Federation of Women in Business calls for greater economic empowerment for women. Welcome back. Plan International Malawi has stressed the need to promote gender equality as a key driver of economic growth in the country. The organization's country director, Mwape Mulumbi, made the remarks in Lilongwe during an intergenerational dialogue commemorating International Women's Day organized in partnership with the Reserve Bank of Malawi. Madalitso Mhango has a report.
Mulumbi said while Malawi has made progress in promoting women's empowerment and leadership, some sectors still perceive women as incapable of holding top leadership positions. She said intergenerational dialogues create platforms for women to share experiences and challenges, helping young women realize their potential and to contribute meaningfully to national development.
There are cultural areas, like in terms of leadership in the communities, where in some cultures the traditional leaders would generally be men. But in certain spaces, like even what we're hearing in the Reserve Bank, at the highest levels of leadership, we are having almost equal. In Parliament, we still have a long way to go. In cabinet ministers, when you look at the ratios, etc. But I think for me, the important thing is that these are things that everybody is now being mindful about when we walk into a space, which should have a good, balance between who is there amongst men and female.
Meanwhile, chairperson of the Women Academy for Leadership and Political Excellence, Lingaleni Mihoa, emphasized the need to break social and cultural barriers that prevent women from attaining top leadership positions. She said addressing such challenges is crucial for the country to achieve its development aspirations.
There are many aspects that still look upon girls, and I think that tends to be also reinforced by the girls themselves because of what they've been taught. So I gave examples where young women are not supposed to speak up, girls are not supposed to speak up, but eventually you realize that when you go into the workplace, people are looking for leaders that can articulate their ideas. So you can imagine growing up for 20 years, people have been telling you that you can't speak as a girl, or if you give your opinion, then it's not worth it because you're a girl. And that's purely on the basis of stereotypes and cultural bias.
The commemoration brought together women leaders from Plan International Malawi, the Reserve Bank of Malawi, and female students from Lilongwe University of Agriculture and Natural Resources, Luana. The event was held under the theme, Give to Gain. Madalitso Mhango, MBC, Lilongwe.
The COMESA Federation of Women in Business has called for greater economic empowerment for women to help them fully benefit from their participation in business activities. Speaking during the commemoration of the International Women's Day, the Federation Chief Executive Officer, Chika Kulamiti, said about 70% of women are involved in cross-border trade, but many fail to achieve meaningful results due to limited empowerment and support.
Over 50% of the population is comprised of women. Over 80% of the people in the agricultural sector are women. Even when you look at cross-border trade, 70% are women. But what has been happening is that, we need to have some financial products that will help the women to be able to participate fully in any procurement. And there have to be a deliberate policy for that. And we know for sure that the government of Malawi has adopted a good policy to support the women to participate in the procurement. But there have to be some other capacity building activities, deliberate targeting, deliberate hand-holding of the women-owned companies to participate in the procurement.
One of the members of the Federation, General Ndalame, said the platform has helped increase the visibility of her business and enabled more people to benefit from the service she provides. She added that through the Federation, she gained the confidence to start her business, which works with and supports rural women.
A woman has the right to finance. That's why I came up with Tingati Women, to support specifically rural women to do small businesses. The other stakeholders, government, to support women. When you support a woman, know that you have supported the whole nation. So I believe that if women in Malawi, or if government puts more effort in supporting women entrepreneurs, definitely Malawi will be, the economy of Malawi will grow.
Malawi's battle against erratic weather and declining crop yields is gaining new momentum through the development of improved seed varieties that withstand climatic shocks. The International Crops Research Institute for the Semi-Arid Tropics, ICRISAT, in collaboration with the Department of Agricultural Research Services, have intensified research efforts that drive significant gains in achieving stronger seed systems. As Nkhani reports, the institute has since released more than 30 seed varieties for cereal and legume crops and eyes intensified research in modern seed breeding.
As climate change continues to threaten food production in Malawi like the rest of the Southern Africa, ICRISAT has intensified its research and innovation programs in developing crop varieties better suited to the country's dryland farming conditions. To date, the Research Institute has supported the release of over 35 improved crop varieties that include pigeon peas, sorghum, chickpea, finger millet, pearl millet, and disease-tolerant groundnut varieties. ICRISAT country representative Sam Njoroge said for groundnuts alone, ICRISAT has supported the development of over 17 improved varieties, which are helping farmers increase yields, reduce production risks, and strengthen resilience against pests and diseases.
These are varieties that have better resistance to groundnut rosette, which is the most important disease, not just in Malawi, but also in Africa. Early leaf spot, late leaf spot, which are fungal diseases. And we've also worked strongly to improve our understanding and management of aflatoxin contamination.
ICRISAT is also working with farmers under contract arrangements to multiply improved seed varieties, particularly groundnuts and pigeon peas. Later, the seed is distributed through formal seed systems. One such farmer is Manzu Beda, Managing Director for Kakuyu Investments at Namitete in Lilongwe.
We are contracted by ICRISAT to multiply their breeder material. We've now had a partnership of 26 or 27 years with ICRISAT. And ICRISAT is a very, very important organization. They were formed to help raise the standard of agriculture for the smallholders.
Chief Agriculture Research Scientist at the Department of Agricultural Research Services, Justus Chintu, said the introduction of groundnut seed varieties marked a major milestone in efforts to strengthen groundnut production in Malawi and beyond.
For many years, maybe over 30 years, farmers in Malawi have been growing CG7. CG7, although it is a very famous variety, but it is susceptible to rosette. Even Charimbana. Charimbana is also very famous in Malawi. It's commonly grown by farmers in Malawi, but it has a problem that is susceptible to rosette. And we have been able to come with a number of varieties like CG9, CG11, and CG12, which are very resistant to rosette disease. And these are currently being adopted by farmers, and we can say that this has been an achievement that has been a result of working on groundnut research for a number of years.
Evidence from agricultural programs under ICRISAT shows strong uptake of new improved groundnut varieties among farmers, with a 35% increase nationally and 62% in ICRISAT project areas. Beyond seed development, ICRISAT is also promoting the production of legume seed, strengthening agricultural markets, and raising awareness on aflatoxin contamination, a major food safety threat affecting crops like groundnuts. More than 245,000 farming households have benefited from improved seed initiatives supported by ICRISAT and its partners, with over 14,500 metric tons of seed produced for distribution to farmers. Doreen Sonani, MBC News, Lilongwe.
Authorities at St. Cloud Secondary School in Chileka, Blantyre say exposing students to different cultures nurtures open-mindedness and helps them appreciate the uniqueness of different ethnic groups and diverse backgrounds. The remarks were made by Reverend Father Lazarus Zolani, parish priest of Kadira, during events marking Castro Day at the school. Chisomo Break reports.
Father Zulani said the school recognizes that for students to excel in their studies, they have to be physically, spiritually, and culturally right.
In our culture, there are elements which go together with Christianity. So today, we are showcasing, our culture, and this is done by the young people. In doing so, they are learning how to be reliable people in society. And after they have attained the education, they are going to be balanced people.
The school's board chairperson, Friday Kumitengo, said it uses the cultural day to promote peace, unity, and love among students.
Yeah, for these students, they come from different backgrounds. They are branches of some roots. So even our theme today is honoring our roots, scripting our future. So these learners are like in the process of writing their future. So as they write their future, they can't leave culture aside because they are descendants of some roots. So we don't take that alone. We make sure that as they write their future, it aligns with their culture.
One of the students, Tamara Chikonga, said the day reminds them their roots, teaches them to respect and value other people's ways of life.
Today, to me as a student, it is very important because we've seen how our teachers, how us as students, and how they directed things. The culture is very important to us, and then to us it is a very grateful thing because we've also learned that culture, it is an important thing. Because us as kids, we take culture as something which is not really important. We get impressed by Western things, but today most of the kids have learned that culture is very important because our elders have shown us.
The day brought together students who showcased various cultural activities through dancing and singing in a shared celebration, promoting a sense of belonging and community spirit. Chisomo Break, MBC News, Blantyre.
Well, that item wraps up this edition of MBC News. A reminder of our top stories. President Mutharika assures Malawians that his administration will not shield anyone involved in corrupt practices. Former immigration chief, retired Brigadier General Charles Kalumo, arrested at Kamuzu International Airport. And the COMESA Federation of Women in Business calls for greater economic empowerment for women. For the latest news, follow our digital platforms by scanning the QR code at the top right corner of your TV screen. You've been with me, Hilda Ngomano. Thanks for watching and goodbye.